And welcome back to the desk. Look at this. It's still the same desk, but the lightning and the effecties. I love this. I love this. So welcome back. This is the before game, JDXL versus X7, opening up week one, day one. This is an amazing game to start. This is the spiciest one of them all. And just as MC was talking about, he wants to play versus JDXL.
And there's a lot that was said on that interview. Obviously talking about the closest competition, XL was mentioned on there. Really think this game can be determined by those early game plans, which you also mentioned though. And what was really kind of funny to me at that point is that obviously he was on that Riddle roster, which so often went away from their game plan because stuff just flew off the rails. He was doing Miracle Baron steals. He was doing these crazy kicks on Lee Sin and the like of it. I want to see if we can see a bit of both, where it is actually game plan goes well, but if push comes to shove, he's still got that spark of magic.
So if I may, I want to shift the conversation now to JDXL. I want to look into JDXL and understand this team. Obviously, they were talked about probably the most in the previous split, like this team is going to win spring split. They couldn't. They got into playoffs. They got kicked off. I have to be blunt about it because it was really
unceremonious.
blunt.
It was unceremonious.
What can we expect from this team on this split and test?
It's really kind of funny to me because I look at the roster now and they have MNS, right, who's just been such a huge deal in the last split. He was playing just super well all around. They have Dan, who is also kind of known for utilizing other players in his team. But then I see Kreis as well, and I see Venser, Venser, don't get me wrong, this guy is super solid, but I just haven't seen him in the past be able to, you know, when you look at a player like Attila, right, you want to play around this guy. You want him to just get 2 to 3 items, and you know that he will carry the game. And I'm not saying Venser is bad. He's not at all.
Well, it depends
really
which week you got him in, because we have these stats like weeks 1 to 4, weeks 5 to 6, or something like absolutely night and day. He was very streaky. If we get good Venser, it's going to be crazy. And
that's the thing, right? I just look at Kreis, and I know that they can play through him, right? But he can also play this type of champs like Cillian top, Karma top. He plays those champions, so if they want to do that, they have to make sure that Venser is on his A game and is able to carry from both sides.
You probably have the best support to provide with that. FGG, we talked about him. I don't know if the Rel is still his most played champion right now because there's a lot of champions that you can
play
most in this new meta. And this is something that I wanted to bring with you. So you have to ban specific champions, and now you have to look into this bot line of JDXL. But they also need some sort of revenge versus X7. They've been defeated constantly, and they always talked about, we want to defeat X7, they just can't. They were one of the teams that just couldn't.
Yeah, and I mean, I look at this matchup, and you look back to the last split, XL never even got to a best of 5 versus X7. They didn't get to that point where their drafting, which was so weird and wonderful, sometimes a bit hit and miss, but still a very powerful part of their game, didn't even get to show that at that point. And you look back to that last split, it happened because of Bifrost's late surge in XL. They kind of fell apart a little bit coming into the last couple of games and they got booted out of the top 2 out of head-to-heads, meant they had to go through that lower bracket, and they couldn't even get through that point. They went through that long road, through that lower path in the bracket, couldn't get past the first hurdle.
And they were the ones picking Riddle to fight them against, and now they have to face a part of Riddle, let's call it this way, versus X7. So with this in mind, this is XL. This, to me, it's the most we can bring out because we still don't know what is going to happen with this team. Now looking into X7, they have new changes, and we always talked about how to intempt. This is the duo. The jungle plays for the mid lane, they provide the mid lane, and something happens afterwards. Now, the mid lane is different because we have slow queue to sub in the first day, and we have a new jungler. What can you expect?
And I actually kind of like this. I mean, slow queue, not about, like, this guy has been kind of, when I watched him, it felt like he kind of was popping off like every single game I watched him. So definitely, like, not the worst sub at all that you can have. And pairing him up, because I remember slow queue was playing like a bunch of Zed, you know, these types of champions, and pairing him up with
there
MC.
Was some corky packages in there too.
Yeah, that is true. What I'm saying is, from my point of view, I feel like slow queue and MC, they both like to be in the enemy's faces, and I think if they can, even if like slow queue is just playing for one game, they kind of know each other's styles, and I think they can play off of it.
But for me, I look towards that top lane. I had a chat with Chronicler, who has been the LCK Challengers guy, to talk about Chasey, because Chasey came in from, I believe it was the Damwon Challengers roster, which came in there. And you can look at that roster and say, oh, it didn't actually perform that well. But when they won, it was because this guy was 1v9ing. He's a lot of LCK Challenger players are kind of like hands, which are Korean Challenger, just stapled to their peripherals. Then sometimes the nervous system and the brain behind it get a little bit lost in translation. Chase is actually quite an intelligent player, though. If you leave him in a good 1v1, he knows how to play it on weak side and on strong side, get the most out of it. I'm really looking forward to see where the benchmark of a player of this standard can be in our region.
I agree with you. And most people talked about, okay, Haru is leaving, so this team is going to lose a lot. In my opinion, it's quite the opposite. Even though we had Haru, and Haru is a beast, that's why he is where he is right now. But they upgraded the team, if you can talk about like that. I love the old players, but the way they can play now, we still haven't seen them inside of the Rift, so obviously we need to take that into consideration. I think this team is more of a menace than the previous one.
Ooh.
Yeah, that is my overstatement for day one. I like to be spicy. I like to be spicy. Take me on that one. So, JDXL versus X7. Now we're going to focus on the face-to-face. We have time for that. Obviously, you have to take some bans into X7. Do you think... Like, Torok is the maniac of champion selects. How can you adapt?
Depends on side select. I think what we saw at MSI, which of course we recapped all in that news, we're on the same patch set, so you're looking at Lucian and Wukong bans on red side most of the time. It depends who's on red side. I actually think that a coach like Torok has typically been happy to leave through some picks. Even some of the interviews we saw around MSI, Wukong is countered by X, Y, Z, ABC champions. Like, so many champions which technically can deal with them. I'm just wondering who's actually prepped them. And of course, Torok, given some time to look at these pro games, I wonder if him and the rest of his team have cooked something up. I still think you've got to get rid of Gwen, though. You cannot give a player like Chasey a champion like Gwen. It's just, that one's off the table for me.
Yeah, we saw it yesterday, right? And it was yesterday when Bin got Gwen. Every single game he was just popping off, and I was like, why is this champion even open?
Take away the Gwen. That is the biggest priority. But then you have to take away the Nidalee, or do you allow Nidalee to go through?
Oh gosh, yeah, because of course that's one of the things from last split, because MC was the Nidalee God, and we waited 6 weeks to see it last split until it finally got let through, and it demolished. So we'll see if that can continue on this point. One Tricks have a bit of a patchy history in pro play, because you get to this point where it's like, well, are they actually as consistent on other champions? But if it gets you a free ban every single game, that
versus
is
X7.
gold dust. Yeah, exactly, against X7. If you can do that against all caliber of opponents, that is a huge feather in your cap.
Okay, now focus into focus. This is what I bring into this table. Where should we focus this game? Where is going to be the action? Because Slow Q is stepping in to sub for Tempt. Usually we had the mid laner with the jungler. I talked about this. Where should be the focus for X7 now? Where should be the focus for JDXL? I'm going to start with you.
I'm going to do the time-honored tradition. M-Test, what do you think?
Okay. Well, basically from what I've heard, right, and what I watched from Chasey, this guy, I feel like X7 is super hard to read them because they have players on every single row that can carry the game. And it's just super draft dependable. But I do feel like knowing Attila, this guy is not going to shut up both in draft and in game. And he's just going to, guys, combat level 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it's going to be just bot side for me honestly.
What about you?
I feel like if it's going to be an explosion, this lane is just completely over. I feel like it would be bot lane. I think I'm going to have to agree with you on that one. I just want to see how Chasey slots into our region. That's a big thing for me. So I'm going to look towards top side. I'm going to opposite, mirror.
Yeah.
The words.
Fair enough.
Words.
There's a music, there's a sound in the studio, and this means that we're about to jump into Champion Select. This is going to be the first game of the Summer Split. Are you ready? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's kick in with the Champion Select. Show me! It's going to be JDXL versus X7. The match everyone has expected before. It's going to be live in a few seconds for you with the Champion Select. The action is going to start right now. There you go. Oh, timing was perfect, man.
Ooh.
We didn't rehearse this. We didn't rehearse. Okay, let's kick it off.
What's this guy doing? What's he speaking about? Well, at least we can speak about some fans now. Okay, so XL over on that blue side means that you're avoiding some of the must-ban champions. Aurelia, that's target ban towards Slow Q. Slow Q had that banned against him a lot last split, has played it a couple of times. And of course, again, if you've got this hyper-mechanical top planer, might not be as connected to the rest of the team. We don't know what will happen, right? We have to see how they've integrated so far. Taking away something that can individually just smash a game wide open like that Aurelia, I think that's a good call.
Yeah, no, for sure. Just Aurelia as well on the red side could be potentially flexed onto Chasey as well. I don't know if he plays it, but probably if he played in SK, the challenger, obviously you're gonna play Aurelia, right? Mids, you cannot blind pick stuff like Gnar if Aurelia is open. So this actually the GP ban as well could be a potential just blind pick top for the Gnar onto JDXL, but
Nidalee is available.
Nidalee is available. They are gonna let it through unless X7 bans it for some reason, but probably they won't, right?
No, the idea now is, do you ban the Gwen or do you allow the Nidalee to go through and the Gwen is open? What do you do?
Honestly, everything's changed now. The coach is no longer don't ban Nidalee. It really is just...
Well, they don't know anymore.
There you go, that's it. But it is going to be the Gwen taken away at the very last point. again, I think this champion is just so powerful right now. I rarely want to see it going anywhere else. This has been, though, aside Lucian, the real huge first pick priority for, again, the MSI teams that we saw coming in from the last couple of days of play. JDXL, they're going to bring that in. I don't know whether they were able to flex it. We've only really seen it in jungle and pro play recently. There is that option of maybe putting it into top lane if X7 pick a bit of a weaker laner, however.
So there you go, the legend is back, but do you play Nida versus Wukong? Is this even a good match?
I think what MC is just saying is, I don't care what champion you pick. Potentially they could just pick so many good champions that are good into Nidalee, right? But again, he doesn't care, he just wants to play his champ. And this is, like, XL basically has put the ball into X7's court, right? And they are telling MC, it doesn't matter if you're locking your one trick, we are gonna win anyways. It's just super exciting, man.
Yeah, we waited 6 weeks for this in Spring Split because it was banned every game, but I love this because what you need with a Nidalee is you have lots of damage, but it's really hard to land, and most of the time you die doing it most of the time. You need someone to set up for you. Something like a Yone really helps you do that. You can do it very early on, especially when you start trading very heavily in lane. The problem with something like a Nidalee, when you're picking these setup lanes, often you have to pick very early game focused lanes. Stuff like Renekton has typically been in there. A couple of other point-and-click champions. Something like Yone, though, is a good answer to that. It has a later game scaling, and if you get kills in that lane, it just explodes.
And it's, again, like, potentially it could be a flex, right, to the top lane as well, but we saw Irelia banned. Like, usually when you pick Nidalee, you kind of want to have, like, the AD damage in the mid. You don't want double AP mid and jungle, but it's going to be exciting to see, but MNS now, actually, I mean, I guess it's potentially a Kali flex as well.
It's a flex as well.
Yeah. Cry's played that a lot. So, I mean, Yone, absolute. I think it's actually even been more of a top lane pick than a mid lane pick, but it can be in either. Suddenly, we're looking at this fight, and I think what XL ended up kind of picking towards in their first three champions, saying, look, you want to go towards this single target, nuking you down kind of comp. Let's just pick a load of stuff, which is really hard to get on top of. You got Wukong clone, you got Senna ulting someone across the map, staying behind the front line as well. They could even pick a load of bruises. What happens if you lock in a Scion or something towards bot lane? Suddenly you've got like a Yone and Nidalee hitting a brick wall, getting absolutely monstered. And I think at XL have a couple of answers to what on paper is a good combo, but maybe not against like Bulwark, which XL are putting up.
It's just super crazy. Like they picked, because obviously Wukong is mainly played in the jungle, right? But actually I've seen some Senna Wukong popping up once again.
True.
Could be, there are so many flexes in this JDXL draft, which I guess Torok is kind of famous for. He's just picking so many different champions that they can go kind of anywhere. But I like X7's answer to it, honestly. Attila, Ezreal, it's just a signature pick.
I would okay, so I can understand the logic of that. Again, as the nameplate's on, I'm not actually a massive fan of the Ezreal in the other way though, because it means that it's not really a pressure lane. You can lock in something like a Karma later, maybe. I mean, they banned out the Rakan, but you can lock in something to like maybe hammer down the first couple of levels. But it's not realistically going to shut out a Senna Wukong from that game. Plus, it's not going to be the highest level of early game burst to maybe try and get kills onto it. I feel like the Senna is going to be relevant. Senna's very strong right now. If Senna's relevant, that's a problem.
But you also are forgetting the fact that Ezreal can play really aggressive. I've seen Ezreals with press the attack.
Okay, true.
The arcane shift can go into your face, and this is Attila that we're talking about. And again, the rule of the 26 minutes, you're alive. It's an Ezreal.
You can take Guardian and still be getting pressure.
Exactly. I don't see it happening, but it could still happen. Okay, Kasing with the cat. So this is from front to back. Obviously, they have a lot of CC, they have a lot of engagement. There we go, Leona. We've seen Kasing play the Leona. We know what could happen. He won V9 the last time.
And once again, right, we saw the Yuumi hover, kinda, but once again, with Nidalee, you want the lockdown, you have the Yone, which is, it's some CC, right, but not nearly enough. With the Leona, you just kinda guarantee that the Spirit is gonna hit, and now, it's just up to XL to kind of show their cards. Is the Akali going to be mid, top? Is the Wukong going to be bot? That's the downside of being blue side, right? Because you cannot save the flex pick for last.
And this is where I see the Scion coming in. It's been a powerful pick. You sit there, you fling all of your CC towards a Scion with like 5,000 HP. Good luck cutting through that. And even if you do, the amount of cooldowns you need to spend to do at that point means you've got that Wukong who scales very well in team fights. And if you're diving in with a Yone and a Nidalee, you're hitting them for a good amount of damage. And then you've also got the Senna doing similar stuff. This all buys time for something like an Akali to pop off. What are you rounding this out with though? Potentially another secondary front liner. I think something like that. Nah, it's about as good a blind pick as you've got left right now.
Looking into the composition, this is a Scion with Senna and the Naruto playing with a Akali in the mid lane. So this is spicy again from Torok. What can we expect? It's JDXL. Torok is laughing. I don't know, Torok. What are you doing? On the other side though, X7, how can they wrap this up?
Ooh, so I mean, once again, right, we talked about Chasey.
There's a lot of poke.
There's a lot of poke on the side of X7. The Nidalee, the Ezreal, the Jace, as you mentioned, that the 2 items, the 26-minute rule is gonna apply. The 2 items for everyone. It's gonna be super insane.
But the question is, in what state are you arriving to that 26 minutes? Because I actually think at this point you get those 2 items, and actually if you haven't got 2 dragons, a herald, plates everywhere, I feel like JDXL are gonna have free reign to walk into the river, tank up a couple of skill shots into the Scion, onto the Gnar, whatever, heal them up with that center a little bit, and just play towards the objective. They can tank objectives for days. I think X7, if they don't explode the early game, they're gonna lose around objectives. That's a problem.
What is your take now? At the end of the Champion Select, I need predictions. I want to know from you guys what you expect. End test. Who's going to win?
I'm going to stick with X7. I don't think they will be able to get as far behind as I just look at the comp that JDXL have. And sure, they have the Scion with the Senna. They have some sort of engage, but I don't think it's kind of enough. They need the Wukong. They need to be able to get prio, first of all. They need to be able to control river hard against this insane poke comp that X7 has. And if they're not able to do that at the 20-minute mark, if X7 can get just 1 Drake maybe.
So it's X7 for you?
I'm going to say X7, yeah.
What about you?
I don't care who wins. I just want to see Chasey versus M&S in a side lane with 3 solo kills apiece.
Yeah, aside from that, I need a number.
I actually think XL's comp is really, really good. I think that around the objectives, they have a lot of ways to play it out. For me, XL come away with a pretty strong advantage in draft.
It is time. Finally, it is time to send it to the casters for the first game of Summer Split. Initialize Trouble. Bring us to the Rift.
With pleasure, Archer. Indeed, I'm Initialized. I am joined by Trouble. And what an exceptional matchup we have to kick it off. X7 versus XL, 2 mighty titans who were huge rivals for most of last split. We've got some changes. We've got a sub in Slowq instead of Tempt. Of course, X7 got to quarterfinals at EU Masters. XL didn't even make it. There's so much to work with. But I think I probably do want to stop him first on the drafts. We've got 2 very different takes from M-Test and Nymera. But I think you've got some thoughts yourself, Trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that both of these drafts speak miles for the teams, right?
True.
X7 has always been this sort of skill check team. Every time they go into the Rift, they want to outclass their opponents individually. I mean, what better way to welcome MC in X7 other than giving him that one champion that is dreaded, which I want to remind everyone, it was unbanned once last split, and he absolutely destroyed Nuriki with that champion.
Absolutely, and we are about to head on to the Rift, and we need to see what he can do with it. This is a guy who is stepping in to replace Haru, a world champion who has a skin in the damn game, who had an exceptional split, who has, by all accounts, moved on to
champion? He won the NLC. What are you talking about?
Exactly, an incredible experience for all involved. You know, he's moved on to bigger and better things, sadly for us, but it does mean that MC's stepping into some big shoes. It's a guy we've had a lot of praise for his mechanics, sometimes had some issue with his decision-making, sometimes had some issues with his champion pool, never had an issue with his Nidalee. This is a hell of a game to try and prove that he is worthy of stepping into those shoes. And on the other side, I mean, XL, they didn't make it work last split. Despite what should have been an extraordinary regular season, they fell out first in playoffs to MC and Slowq.
Yeah, exactly. And now they have to play against them. But you know who actually beat MC and Slowq in the playoffs? It was Venzer and FGG when they played for Dusty. So we've got a bunch of players in these 2 teams that have pretty much
there's a lot of interconnections here.
Helped each other move forward, you know, into the playoffs. But all in all, going back to the drafts, I'm just really excited to see the skill check coming in from the X7 lineup. You've got Chasey coming in, who we know likes to play the skill check champions towards the top side of the map. Jace is one of the more difficult ones. Your positioning is very key. Making sure that you're ahead and you're not getting caught on the top side of the map is very key. And I do agree with Nymera. Does this X7 not snowball the early game, not start stacking dragons and forcing XL to fight them? It's going to be very difficult for them because, yes, they're long range, but they're extremely squishy. And from the other side, JDXL have chosen a bunch of heavy engage. Scion running into you, done with the Monkey going all in the backline. You've got Cries with the Mega Knight as well. It's going to be extremely difficult to navigate all this engage.
Carly's great at diving. You've got a Dawning Shadow from Senna who can hit you from literally across the map. You've got a lot of ways to access people who would rather not be accessed. All things said and done. But I think, honestly, I see where both analysts on the desk were coming from, because X7, they have a lot of ways to play like X7 does, namely smash early game, crush it from there, be absolutely oppressive with the incredible range they have. On the other side, as you said, it's an XL draft. They've got ways to take it through the mid to that late game. Just need to see how it all plays out, and that means early on, what can X7 get done, especially towards that top side?
Yeah. I was just about to hit the top side of the map, because if you look at the top side, JC is already building up the wave. MC obviously wants to play towards the top side of the map. That's where his 2 AD damage dealers are currently on the map. So you definitely want to play with this AP, AD damage combo, trying to possibly dive Kryze onto that. Now, once he has used his Mega Knight, you'll see that the timing doesn't adapt very well right now, because Kryze is just about to hit Mega Knight. By the time MC has cleared his jungle and wants to dive top with the triple wave, the Mega Knight will have run out.
That is at least the plan. Of course, there was some notes. Chasey is new to the roster. He is a Korean national, right? Well, we don't know how his communication will be with MC, who is also new to the roster. They're not playing with their starting mid laner in Temp. They're playing with Slowq. Yes, MC and Slowq were playing together last split on Riddle. We should hopefully help out there with some synergy. There are still some questions to ask, and we need to see, of course, whether they can make it work. Chasey right now has got that lane shoved in. MC is quickly power farming his way towards an early scuttle, has now got it, and has, surprise, surprise, got himself ready to look about at least an invade and a look into this bot side jungle, or bot side blue side jungle. That was an awkwardly phrased statement, but it's not going to do too much more. Instead, back off.
That was a really nice actually move from SC right there, because you would usually look for a dive, but he doesn't necessarily want to dive. He wants to make sure that Chasey is safe. But what would be a great reaction from Dan right there is like, all right, I see what Chasey is trying to do with the Jace on the top of the map. They're trying to snowball. They've got the Nidalee plus the Jace. They might be pulling out the dive. Maybe the Wukong was top side of the map trying to cover for his top laner. Dan started completely opposite side of the map, and both junglers are starting on that, finishing that full clear first time.
Absolutely, and Dan did have a quick look in here at the bot side to see whether there would be an opportunity for a gank. And remember, MC has backed.
Oh, here it comes.
Has got items, and Dan has just recalled. That means FGG and Venz are in a lot of trouble. A flash! Zenith blade in from Kasing. Attila flashing forwards as well. First blood to MC's Nidalee. It's in the name. He's the main character.
Absolutely getting that first kill 4 minutes into the game. And again, that JDXL bot lane, they had the entire wave pushing to them. You don't have to overextend, especially since you have just seen that your jungler did take the teleport back to base, so you need to stay safe. They overextended. Kasing instantly engages up on them, and they managed to get the first kill of the game, and no one else other than MC's Nidalee as well. Now you can take this kill, you can go back, you can cash in, get this extra gold into items, and potentially look for a top lane.
Indeed, you can, of course. It did cost Attila and Kasing a few summoners. That's Exhaust and Flash down from Attila. You've got the Flash and, of course, the Ignite down from Kasing. But Hex Flash obviously allows a little bit of mobility for the Leona anyway. But there was a heavy investment there. Maybe there's a world where Dan could return down towards that bot side and make sure some of those summoners are punishable.
Here's where MNS comes in here, because they are manically looking to see where MC is gonna end up. MNS might even like try his luck here, but level 5 Akali is not that dangerous. You definitely don't want to be playing around giving Nidalee yet another kill. So making sure that you spot where MC is towards the top side of the map. You know that his camps have just spawned right there, so he's gonna be moving towards the bot side of the map again. And XL bot lane.
That's a trade, but Dan's there, and Slowq quickly binds his soul back to his body and flashes the hell out of there, because that was a lot of people he did not want to be around. Kasing takes out the control ward, but gets away from...
The really cool thing with this gank is that Venza was in his mist together with Dan. But you can't know if who Venza is bringing with him is the Wukong or the Sion, so you have to be extra cautious of that.
Indeed, of course, Spectator won't necessarily give that context, because we kind of see everything, right? We see it from both sides. And of course, for X7, it's just those actually quite grim-looking, like, ghouls with multiple arms that you see walking around with the mist. It's quite the animation. As MNS has now hit 6 alongside Slowq and is once again just leaning towards the top side of the river. But MC and Kasing looking to get onto FGG and Venza. It's round 2. Spear lands, but doesn't do all that much damage. Flash away from Venza. Still going on this. A lot of damage. Venza's still alive, though. The piercing darkness is enough to keep the Senna in one piece. Dan now coming down, but he blast cones the other way and decides it's all done for now.
Very well played right there from FGG. Covers the first spear, flying in towards Venza. Venza flashes in after the Zenith Blade connects as well, taking Leona further with him, making sure that the bot lane doesn't fall down. But that is also Venza's flash. In the first gang, we had Venza going down. Now it cost him his flash. Yes, Dan is around, but can they pull a play right here?
Attila is going to get jumped on a flash decimating smash, and Attila the Hun goes straight down. There will be no Mongol horde thus far. That's a kill back now to XL, and MC is in a spot of bother, being hunted through the wrong side of the rift. M&S hops over the wall with the shuriken flip, and MC is now on the run. Uses the blast gun, and he is, of course, a Nidalee. He runs pretty damn fast. He'll take a tower shot, but should potentially be able to get his way out. But look at the top side of your screen. You see Dan still hunting.
Unless Cry's moves right here, I don't think XL can cut off MC. He's actually going to jump over the way out.
All right, well, Dan has got the Cyclone. It'll be a smash from MC to keep his health up, and he gets out of dodge. Oh, good escape there from MC.
Does he?
Prevent that from being any more. Wait, no. No! The smite's on cooldown, and MC gets away with absolute murder. That is a drive-by, if I've ever seen one.
I'm not sure where the Wukong clone ended up, because I think Dan tried to position the clone in case MC tried to steal it with the spear, but MC very cleverly played this and got away with stealing that blue buff away, since the smite was also on cooldown for Dan. Really good stuff so far from MC. Even in CS right there, has pulled up the gank as well on the bot side of the map. 1-0 has got the boots for him as well, which means that he's going to be doing that much more damage with the pen coming in from the boots.
Teleport now coming in from FGG, who's going to come down towards his bot side. Dan has started up the Rift Herald that spawned about 20 seconds odd ago. Is still on it. It's got that pressure, of course, because MC had to back away. Down to about 1,800. MC could come over. It'll be a test now. Watch for the spears. This will now be a straight smite fight. It is secured by Dan, but he's thrown the Cyclone. Needs to get out of here. The clone is down. Second Cyclone activation comes through. The spear goes wide. M&S now shielding. Lands a shuriken. In goes M&S. MC over the wall. Lands the spear, but it's Dan who picks up the kill. Slowq going to try and get some more, but will not be able to land anything more. Trying to get that kill. Can't quite make it work, and the ult's already down. They get the kill. They get the Herald, they get out.
So well played by the mid-jungle duo from JDXL. M&S making sure that his jungler stays alive. And right here, it is a fight for the smite. And unlucky for MC this time, he doesn't have his smite available, which means that Dan makes sure to secure that one. And M&S is like, I'm just here to cover my jungle, you know, but the second that E lands, he's like, why not? I can take that Nidalee down and try to get the shutdown. And Dan is the one to actually get the kill and get out with it. So for his troubles and that blue buff that was stolen away, he comes out victorious.
And Slowq, of course, unable to secure anything in return there. Dan did have to burn the flash, of course, but does get the Herald, gets the kill. And he's feeling very pleased indeed. Actually, a gold lead right now to XL, which is not what you want to see if you're an X7 fan, because this was supposed to be the early game pressure comp.
Exactly, and imagine how important it is right now that the Rift Herald is on the side of JDXL. You would usually want to use the Rift Herald if you're playing a poke composition to maybe into the pockets of your J, so the poke hurts even more. MC would love this insurgence of gold into his pocket as well from the Rift Herald. So taking away all that early spike, all this early gold is going to be a little bit problematic. And I think we're going to have our eyes onto the second dragon, because X7 are definitely going to want to start stacking. But both of the junglers on the bot side of the map, MC has been spotted.
He has indeed. It'll be a 3v3. Dan does not quite have Cyclone up yet, but there's a lot of other ultimates available. Kasing not at level 6, though. He's no Solar Flare, which is a really critical ultimate. Was doing a lot of roaming earlier in the game, and that's clearly hurt that experience discrepancy. Dan now spotted as well. MC has backed away, so just some posturing, nothing else really coming home. And I think maybe while we're still waiting for something like a
Cries
come through, never mind that. Chasey going to trade out with Cries, does get a fairly decent chunk. Of course, has Phase Rush, dodges the boulder. May need to think about resetting soon, because that's not a lot of mana on that Jace, though, and he's going to be in a possible...
Might look for a dive here.
A bit bold, but ties their heads against it. The wave is gone, and Chasey gets away with it. Herald now summoned in mid. MC will come and try and defend, though. That is a 3v2.
It's a 3v2, but Kasing is coming from the right side as well. But the gold is going to go towards M&S Dan and Venzer, I think, cashed in from this one right there. So it is split evenly among the 3 carries from the side of JDXL. And if anything, if I was JDXL, I'd want to be putting all of my money in M&S's pocket, especially since we have to mention how he was the kill leader last split. He had 29 solo kills in 13 games. It was absolutely mind-blowing.
It really was. And then you've got to remember as well, this was a guy who played for the longest time a unique champion every game, it felt like. We saw everything from him, including a Thelios mid. Now, Cries is going to get a lot of damage. Does hit Mega, but misses the wallop. Flashes the second spear, and Cries gets out of dodge, but it does cost him that additional summoner spell.
Very well read situation right there from MC. Just dodges Dan walking towards his blue buff and make sure to take that flash off of Kreis. Now this is a lane that you can actually revisit. Kreis has had to use both his flash and his teleport, meaning that if you take him down, that Jace is going to have a really peachy time with all these turret platings.
JC, we heard from the likes of Chronicle, who helped fill us in, of course, because he is that Korean challenger guy.
Absolutely.
He is a great source of information, so shout out to dear old Cronny, who's done some great work for us. But he was basically saying for JC, this is a guy who did a lot of work for his team. He was on Dan1 Kia's academy team over in Korean Challenger and was a very strong individual player, but couldn't quite make it work as a team. But we're seeing this guy capable of playing by himself without a huge amount of attention, has now managed to get a second plate for himself. We have got a second dragon, though, and that means we're going to have to start seeing things like Flash, Solar Flares, and Zenith Blaze. Don't quite land. Vens now burn the Summoner spell, FGG in a spot of bother.
Eminence is walking down.
And we're going to get ourselves a bit of a team fight. Cyclone is in, but it is exhausted. Kasing, though, still dead to rights. He will be the sacrificial lamb, and XL pick up their third kill of the game.
And as you can see, JDXL are letting all the kills go to Eminence as well. You know, he walked down all the way from mid to participate into this fight. Everybody threw their hands up when Kasing was on 1 HP, giving the kill towards Eminence. You want to make sure that your only AP damage dealer, who's also an assassin, who is also in the hands of Eminence, your most solo bolo king player that we've had in the NLC, has all the kills, has all the gold, is able to jump the backline and assassinate. And this is where trouble strikes for X7, because remember, they needed to start stacking these dragons and they can't. Venza right there will sidestep the Leona ult and flash the spear plus Zenith Blade, and the second Slowky tries to make a play, gets instantly exhausted right there, and you see Kasing is a little bit too far forward. Dan is around to put down the Cyclone, and Eminence just comes in for the kill secure.
That's what you get for having a Curse of the Black Mist. So much harder to hit your targets. And Venza, one of these players who was struggling at the beginning of Spring Split and then really kicked it up another gear alongside FGG on Dusty, continuing to be an absolute terror. Cries, though, that Zenith Blade. Kasing was looking for that ward, comes down, an immediate reaction for Kasing. Still not going to be quite enough. Now another invade, not going to hit that blue buff and down secure.
1 HP.
I know, 1 HP.
1 HP right
close.
there. Yeah, so we've been looking so far from the side of JDXL. Are they going to neutralize that Nidalee pick that everyone has been dreading towards MC, right? No team left it open. The only one that did suffered from it last split, which was Nuriki. And right here, yes, MC is going to be ahead because Nidalee is a fast clear. Kreis might be in a little bit of a pickle right there, but he'll be fine. So yeah, Nidalee is a very fast clear, but we haven't necessarily seen much come from this pick. And I'm gonna go back to what Namera said on the desk while the picks and bans were going on, is the fact that FTG is going to start tanking all the spears, all the shock blast, all the mystic shots. He's not going to care. He's going to be extremely tanky. Kreis can do the same. And you know what? Venge is going to be able to heal up a bunch of that damage done to them through all the sustain that they do have with their abilities. So it's going to be really problematic for X7 to get that poke down. So therefore, Slowky can go in together with Kasing and provide some assassination.
I mean, add a little bit salt to the wound. It's an Ocean Rift. You get Ocean Soul to sustain through some of that poke. Yes, you've got to hit champions to make it happen, but it's pretty doable when you can start throwing out some of those rules of the Slayers and the like. Gonna go in here trying to stop that tower going down, and Kasing does manage to pull it off, forces an ult even out of FGG, just playing very aggressively. There is the Leona.
Yep, an ult for an ult right here, and I'm just wondering because X7 need to make something happen on the map, but people are already too tanky. Dan's taking the blast bomb right there.
He's used alone. They're going to be a bit of a fight. Dawning Shadow comes through. Kasing taken very, very low. Hasn't got the flash, but still just about alive with the Eclipse. Hops forward with the Nimbus Strike. Gets to MC. Hopping forward as well, but the trade back is going to come through. They're just not making work. Slowq's got one. Chasing in the top side, trading out. It's a double for Dan, and the fight's still going. FGG gets Slowq, and now it is a 3-for-1. All things said and done, XL are starting to bring this game very much in their favor.
I think that was a 3v4 until very late when Eminence finally joined the game. But if you see how Dan played this start to finish, he was kind of mesmerizing. I thought we were actually going to have like a solo kill somewhere in the top lane since the camera went all the way up. But I'd really love to see the replay right there.
Attila, he's going to go down. Surely
him?
the Zenith Blade misses and adds another solo kill for the king himself. All hail, he's returning.
Woo, woo, woo.
Bow down and show obedience. This man just will not be stopped. And Attila, this former LEC player, this guy who was a superstar for the longest time, comes and rejoins with Kasing, a guy he played with in Giants back in, I want to say, 2021. And now we're going to see this replay where Dan just wrecks face.
Yeah, he knocks out both MC and Kasing right there and interrupts MC as he's about to jump in. He'll flash slow kills all just to finish off Kasing, and then he chases the Nidalee away, whilst FGG is just so tanky, keeping both Slowq and Attila on the both side of the map, just so Dan can chase away the Nidalee, and just so MNS has the time to move down the river and secure the kill as well. Really, really well played, and also MNS is like, wait a second guys, I still haven't gotten my solo ball of this game. I need to start the count. So DJ, start the count, 1-0.
It's in, it's already beginning. First solo kill of the season goes to none other than MNS on the Akali. 2-0-2 now, very much in a comfortable position. Dan as well, 3-0-2 on this Wukong, very ahead of the curve. MC, 1-2 on this Nidalee. It's just not working out yet.
It's all about revenge, right?
Oh yeah.
Slowq and MC took out the mid-jungle duo, MNS and Dan, out of playoffs last split. It's personal at this point. It's all about revenge. It's all about taking them down. And you know what else? It's not even the Riddle mid-jungle duo that played them last split. It's also X7, who is 2-0 against JDXL in the entirety of the season. So this is way more than personal. This is making a statement.
And at this point, we're seeing a pretty sizable gold discrepancy, about 3,000 odd gold, which is a pretty sizable point, especially when you're on a scaling comp. You've got a Senna, you've got this Sion support, you've got all the rest of these people who really want to get to that 2-item mark. They're now getting towards a second dragon. This team of X7, it might have had a bit of an expiry date. They can't control the river, they can't get the poke down, and at the minute, they can't even seem to find themselves much of anything.
I think at this point, you're going to have to try to make a pick on the side lane, right? You have to rely on Chasey, having the Eclipse right there, having MC's Nidalee on the side as well is going to be very instrumental.
Chasey, he takes so much damage, flashes over the wall, does have an acceleration gate. MNS can't quite get in range, even with the second charge of perfect execution. Chasey gets out. That's all about he gets to his name.
I was just about to say, you have to play together with Chasey, bundle up the Nidalee and the Jace, land both of their poke onto whoever is on the side lane, whether it is the Na or is the Nidalee, the Akali. Sure. It will be much easier at this point to catch the Na, because she's not just that mobile as the Akali is, and only has one Trinity Force, so it will be much easier to take down as well. But at this point, you're running out of options, because what JDXL is going to do is going to be, right, you can kill our side laner, and at this point, Kreis is not that tanky, but he's tanky enough to delay them on a dive or on a chase or on a side lane gank. And on the other half, you already have two dragons. JDXL is going to control your map while you have put two players onto the side lane, and then you're going to lose complete control of the map for that one kill. I think X7 need to completely put their foot down on the throttle, because it's going to be really difficult to come back from this.
Absolutely, and Venza just checking at the bottom of your screen, that's 67 stacks of mist already here. They're just cresting that 20-minute mark. That Senna pretty much online at this point, has managed to get this Sion as well, because it's a farming Sion, has now got himself towards that initial Mythic, has got himself nearly towards a second item as well. MNS has got a Shadow Flame, so there's already that second Mythic in. So 6 stacks on that Dark Seal. He's the kind of guy who would buy a Medjai's.
And if you look towards the bot side of the map, X7 is trying to do exactly what we talked about. Pairing up MC together with Chasey, trying to pull a dive towards the bot side of the map. But if you show your Nidalee on the bot side of the map with the second Rift Herald in the pockets of JDXL as well, they're going to pop it towards the top side of the map, take the tower, and maybe even threaten the Baron. FG.
A lot of damage, gets knocked out of the Zenith Blade. Venza gets exhausted, but in comes Dan. Inclement weather indeed. It's a Category 5 Hurricane. Cyclone does enough work, but wait, they survive. It's a 1-for-1, of course, as Venza secures that Leona regardless. And back away, but that 1-for-1 is much needed. It was a shutdown as well, a second kill onto the back of MC's Nidalee. Top side though, MNS diving it out with Slowq, who has to ult himself away. Will prevent this K-Tower go down. MC is now here. MNS used that second proc of the perfect execution and gets himself out of danger. Wait, maybe not. MC still hunting, could look for that spear. MNS still got the shuriken, does have flash, but they're going to keep chasing him here.
Okay, MNS has flash and ignite. He could make a play. There is no ult on Slowq.
You're going to try and play this 1v2? No! Not like this, MNS! He gets 2 in the 1 versus 2. He's back! He's back!
Make it 3 solo kills in one game. The boy is back and he's here to stay. What a performance on that Akali. Everyone thought it was going to be Cries onto the Akali. I thought it was going to be Cries onto the Akali. But MNS is making a statement on that champion for himself. Again, he has no ultimate, he has Flash and Ignite. MC walks way too close for comfort, gets instantly assassinated. Also the assistance right there from Venza with the Senna ultimate. Make sure to give MNS that double kill before he falls to the shadow. And Baron has been started for JDXL.
He's back in black and he's put the others into the grey screen. It's monochrome all day long for the mid laner of JDXL. What a superstar, but Baron's been started. It's gonna be a fight. MC's coming over and actually they might have overstayed. XL taking so much damage. Slow Q is going to stay alive, but the jungle is dead. Benz is dead as well. MNS is back, but now he's got to try and sort out the mess that this fight has become. Baron's been started. MNS trying to get on the slow Q. It'll be another kill. Surely does get that one. MC over the wall. He's got one, and that's a dead mid laner. XL have been wiped, and we were just singing their praises. Now X7 goes straight back to the Baron.
They can start Baron. There's enough damage between the Ezreal and the Nidalee, and Kasing can tank for days. XL reach way more than they can actually handle, and they end up getting the ace on that top side river, giving away X7 that Baron. This is disaster striking all along. Thinking back to Spring Split, XL was ahead in the first game versus X7. One throw was all it took for X7 to pick up, and right here they pick up. That's exactly what they needed. They needed more pressure on the side lanes. Now with the Baron up minions onto Chase, onto that Jace, you can put so much pressure on the sides.
Gold lead now in X7's favor. Let's watch this replay because
look at the minimap.
Should have been doable.
Look at the minimap. Look where MNS is. He's in base and his team is starting Baron, knowing full well this is going to be a 4 versus 5. The first one to actually die is Venza onto that Senna, and here's all your damage gone. The second Dan dies as well. You don't have much damage. Cries is a Minina, and even though yes, MNS tries to dive in to clear up, everything that's happening is just not enough. And right here, X7 are faced with another task to try one more team fight.
X7 versus XL, it never ends! It's another fight, and this time XL have all of their forces ready to bear. 3 dead already. Dan will not bring down Kasing, but Venza will do the job for him. It's an Attila alone, running away from the remnants of his own team. One man left alive. It will be sole point for XL, and one failed team fight, one lost Baron means nothing now as they can shove in to take even more structures.
Apparently it means nothing to them because they instantly learned from the mistake. Get all 5 members, make sure you have Mega now up and available for Cries, and then you can try to pressure for a team fight. Beautiful ult by FTG as well to knock up 2, and they managed to find that soul point, which as you mentioned previously is going to be extremely crucial. X7's composition relies heavily on poke. If you've got Ocean Soul, all this poke is going to get healed up, and look at MNS right there. He sneaks in around the both side of the map, outside of all vision, and FG gets a beautiful knock-up into 2. MNS is going to jump in there, Dan is going to jump in there, they absolutely demolish Slowq and MC.
This rivalry that was born in spring is continuing to deliver here in summer. Back in the driver's seat now are XL, though. They've got themselves to Soul Point. They've weathered and returned and retaliated for that stolen Baron. And just look at the stat lines. Look at the items. 3 in for MNS. It's nearly 3 in for Dan as well. He's got a stopwatch to his name. MC, the poor man, just bought a Medjais and loses all the stacks. After that team fight as well, the Nidalee not quite able to fully snowball this game in the way we were hoping for X7.
To me, it's also a little contradictory because I see the Banshees fail. Yes, you're trying to be defensive, but I also see the Medjais, and I'm like, what is happening right here? You're defensive, but you're also offensive. And right here, X7 have to bundle up as 5, but remember, the team fights do not favor them. MNS, on the other hand, does not have a TP up and available for him, which means that for the time that it will take MNS to get from base to this fight, X7 can actually try to pressure for an objective. It was going to be that bot lane tower, but it wasn't meant to be.
Not this time. They've still got a little bit of Baron buff remaining, but they've decided they just can't make anything more of it. They'll have to recall gold in favor of XL, but it's only a couple thousand. X7, the big discrepancy at this point, honestly, is that dragon stacking. It is just the sheer scaling, honestly, as we were saying. Santa's going to continue being a nightmare. This Sion going to be very difficult for this team comp to deal with. Yes, you've got poke. Yes, you've got 2 items.
Who's going to kill him?
But like, it's so hard. 3 items on Attila, and a man who is known for being an exceptional team fighter on a champion with a lot of ability and agency. maybe he can do it, but he's been quiet thus far this game. He's picked up a few kills over the last couple of team fights, but that's been about it.
I want you to look behind JDXL right now because it's fully lit in red. So many wards that Slowq can choose to possibly TP on and pull a flank if his team pulls the trigger for the team fight. I think it's very important though that Slowq holds onto that teleport for this 2-minute fight that's to come when the last dragon is gonna come up, and XL are gonna want this to secure Ocean Soul for themselves. So making sure that both of your side laners will have the teleports up and available, putting some pressure onto the side lane is very important, but also remember, both Slowq and Chasey extremely squishy. They could get caught. Eminence on the side lane beats both at this point.
He does, and he's hit level 16, which means a rank 3 perfect execution on a Fed Akali. That sounds pretty uncomfortable.
Into a very squishy team.
Yeah, pretty squishy indeed. We said there was some issues about keeping that distance, about trying to keep the poke at range. So many ways to close a distance, and when one of those is M&S on Akali with 5 kills and a level 16, I don't think I need to, you know, draw that picture anymore.
It's very graphic.
Yeah, indeed. We've got to keep this PG rated. We are still a public broadcast, sadly. Prepare yourselves, though. We've got about a minute until what will be a soul fight. That means that X7 are trying to make sure they are the ones in control of this river.
Yeah, Eminence is towards the top side of the map and he's pushing a wave, trying to force a solo laner to come and reply to him. But the problem is Eminence right now is holding the vast majority of JDXL's damage in his hands. Is he on a side lane? He cannot join for this fight. They might think for JDXL that right now it's more important to try and secure maybe something like an inhibitor tower, but it's not going to be the case right now. And it's 40 seconds at this point. Eminence is going to shove in double wave on the top side of the map. He's going to reset, grab his item, which I'm thinking is going to be a Banshee's Veil, which is going to be so important with all of these spears diving in, with the Leona trying to snipe you as well and stop you from engaging, and JDXL on the bottom of the map, with all the brute force and the tankiness that they have with the Sion, are trying to reclaim some territory.
At least Chasey and Attila have got that 3 items mark. Both have got their mythics plus Cerilda's plus Muramana. That's a pretty big deal. Lots of wards, and the teleports are now in.
I was pointing out the wards that are still in XL's jungle.
Yeah.
Slow KTP's in the mid lane, so they do know where every single member of X7 is right now. Obviously, they have to retake the territory right there. But FTG is so tanky, and Slowq has just used his shadow.
Does indeed. Big chunk comes.
Look at M&S.
That's M&S. Off vision. Use the sweeper. We can go for the wall, look for the perfect execution, look for the shuriken flip! In they go! Attila is dead already! Make it a second as Kasing falls, the bot lane is gone! It's a decent use of the Fate Seal, but the only Fate being sealed right now is X7's! He'll retreat to his body, but Venza secures him with a piercing darkness! 3 are dead, only MC, only Chasey remains, and that'll mean a soul on the table for XL. M&S is going to keep hunting, he's not done, it could be another solo kill, a 4th of the game. There it is. The man, the myth, the solo kill legend finds another.
Yeah, JC has to flash away from all this nonsense that's going in the mid lane because he has no teammates left. The only thing that he has is a boomerang up his face as Kryze is chasing him. Ooh, that was
nearly
close.
makes it happen, but he can't quite. Korean challenger comes over. Welcome to the NLC. It's a warm, bloody welcome. And this will mean XL to the Baron, XL with the Ocean Soul, and XL looking to secure the first win in the NLC Summer Split.
And X7 came into these 2-0 up onto JDXL. M&S, surely not. Surely you're not losing to 2
it's
members.
1v2. He just can't be stopped. Attila hops away as Zenith Blade lands. M&S still hits the shuriken flip. He's just unstoppable out of the Solar Flare, buffered with the perfect execution. The name of that ultimate could not be more perfect. 8 for M&S.
What is it now? 4 solo kills in his 5 solo kills in his first official game. And if you're wondering why we keep blabbering about this guy, this is why. Although I'm gonna say this was a little bit dangerous. He could have gotten caught in the mid lane while his team was doing Baron. So it was a little bit selfish for somebody who also doesn't have TP to get back into this fight. But you know what? It's M&S will allow this for now.
You get results like this.
Yeah, you'll see Kryze try to go in for the Mega Nab. Beautiful shift from Attila right there to jump away. But M&S had the flank sweep all the way through to make this happen. And then once X7 walk out, it's so easy for JDXL to just pick them one by one. You see Kryze follows through in Minina. M&S manages to kite to perfection and not die right there while putting in all the damage. And the most crucial thing, Ocean Soul and Baron, who stops these guys now?
Apparently nobody. It's got to that point where it feels a team fight is nearly unwinnable. Unless it's a 4v5 at the Baron. That's the one time we've seen X7 win a team fight, and now you're into a full item Akali, who's picked up a Medjai's. MC wishes he had the 10 stacks that M&S does right now.
Yeah, he's had 0 for a long, long time. This book should have been sold
a lot of pages been ripped out
long ago, because the pages have literally nothing in them right there. And XL have really perfect wave management. Look at the top side of the map. 2 waves are going to be crushing. They're going to take bot lane inhibitor, they're going to take mid lane inhibitor, and top lane is also going to shove in shortly. They don't necessarily need to push top lane because they already have 2 cannon waves on the bot side, 1 cannon wave in the mid lane. They can just look to end.
Well, that diary won't be blank for long, dear diary. Today I got curb stomped by XL. The #1 team from the NLC last split falls to their rivals in JDXL. It is an absolute demolition. It's revenge. It is so, so sweet. And the first win of the season of this split in summer goes to JDXL.
What an absolute statement of a game. X7 with all of their skill check champions just cannot make it work. And XL with a very well-rounded composition knew exactly how they needed to play the game, played for the objectives, stopped their Reef Herald from going down. When it came to team fights, they had the superior team and the execution showed. And 5 solo kills, get out of here, M&S.
Unreal stuff. And yes, of course, there's some, caveats to this. Temp's not here. There's a lot of other stuff going on. And so this isn't X7's final form. There's still a lot more to come. But for XL, it's such sweet vengeance.
2-1 now.
I know, right? Well, and that'd be enough from us for now. We've still got a lot more games to come. We've got some breakdowns to go through as well. Let's throw to the analyst desk.
Thank you so much, guys. What a start to the split. I talked about it. JDXL versus X7. This is going to be a banger. The curse is broken.
See this face?
Okay.
This is my smug face.
Okay, that is your no-no face. What is happening with that face, M-Test?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You're muted, by the way. You need to turn your microphone on. That is helpful.
You see, that's how much of a
You
no-no
muted
face it is.
because of the prediction.
Yeah. You don't get to speak anymore, but
All good.
There you go, M-Test.
But I do think that coming into this game did play out largely according to what the comp said. In my eyes, it was a lot of early game focus, but eventually just came to the point. It's like they actually didn't reach that margin. And XL's comp was so disgusting when they started to group.
Okay, now to break it down, let's look into the early game. What happened in the early game? Because we all were looking at MC. He was popping off. I said in a green room, MC is feeling the shoes of Haru. He's making a lot of pressure. I thought it was going to be the show of X7 alongside with MC, and it was the show of MC alongside with X7.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, we talked about it backstage, and you were mentioning how maybe MC and this team kind of has to try to keep up as much as possible with the likes of Attila, with Chasey, with Tempt eventually, with Slowky, right? But MC, he was really pulling tempo in the early game. He was ganking bot, he was stealing blue buffs blindly, and I was talking about how you could play passive with Ezreal, you could also play aggressive in these types of matchups when you have the Nidalee on the bot side. Just go for it, man. They were kind of perma abusing the bot lane in the early game.
And that is a really important moment in this game, because you do look at that, the center side, and you think, look, if this gets online, oh, that's going to be troublesome to deal with. And eventually, that's, of course, what happened. Now, we played around with the momentum meter a bit. Haha, blue buff still. Wow, +5. Yeah, crazy. But it was great to see that MC wasn't cowed by stepping into this higher pedestal of the current champions, right? Not former champions, of this team, which has got so much pedigree to it at this point within this region. But it didn't last. It didn't get to the point where suddenly you can't hold your turrets, you can't approach the river without losing half your HP while potentially getting flanked by something like a Leona or an Iona engage. That didn't happen. In fact, when it did get to those points, in fact, the big dragon fights were definitely going the way of XL. I think FGG had a magnificent game on the side. Felt like every time he was on the map, when he was in the grouped up engagements, he was either doing stuff like cheeky cancels of a Zenith Blade by just buffering out with his ult, stopping Kasing from getting through to that backline, or getting the huge grouped up engage later.
So we saw a lot of solo bolo, I would say, to get that angle on the bot lane. We got more replays because we got to see online, the poke position online. They fell short.
Look at that ult. Just look at that. It's so disgusting.
This is what a poke composition is about. If you can't keep your distance, you're going to get demolished, right?
And that's the thing, right? If X7, as you mentioned, if they cannot keep XL out of river, they need to really contest them on that choke when the river comes.
Exactly.
If they let them come in like this, it just looks super free for JDXL to just walk in, they pop their ultimate, right? FTG, as you mentioned, really popping off on this Sion. Really nice to see.
And for me, obviously there's one side of, oh, X7, they kind of gave them too much territory. They let them get into that river. As too much engaged, lots of reasons that can go wrong. On the other side, XL's so decisive. And again, we've seen roster changes coming in with this. And to see Venture and FGG come in, question marks on them. I was wondering what was going to happen in laning phase. They did fine. They absorbed a couple of ganks. Yeah, you died, but you expect it to happen at some point against the caliber of players that you're playing as. To then turn it back online and have a game of that caliber, that was huge. Wasn't the only star performer, though. Lots of other people popping off on that team.
And I want to bring something specific about popping off, okay?
Yes.
In playoffs, MNS got demolished. He was one of my favorite players, like, in the last split, and he got into playoffs like, oh, man, it's going to be 50 solo kills. He got demolished. And he's back. 5 solo kills? What is up?
I mean, I look at this composition, and eventually it gets to the point it's like, well, hang on. What happens if Akali's isolated? This. Akali gets to just dance around you, and for those of you who are not watching the NLC last split, this is peak MNS. This guy is just really, really good. Just bluntly, you get him into a point where he can mechanically outplay you, and he does it. If you give him a chance to outplay, he's going to pull the trigger, and he's going to take you down with him.
And this just sucks with this composition as well for JDXL. They have the only AP source in the game is the Akali for JDXL. If they could maybe manage to shut him down, it would be a completely different game. But now, how are you supposed to itemize against this when you have literally 4 AD champions and the Akali who is super fed, he's getting solo ballers everywhere?
And my second prediction came true. One was the XL, the other one was, wow, I want to see Chasey versus MNS in a side, with 3 kills. Turns out it was more than 3 solo kills. It was like 5 over the course of the game. That was a lot of solo kills.
So obviously it's still day one. It's still a lot to improve for a lot of teams, specifically now for X7, playing with the sub for slow queue at this point. Can we expect something different coming out from X7 next?
You have to, right?
Yeah.
You have to, and I think the mark of a truly great team, a truly good team, is one that can take a loss and learn from it. Now, X7, the last split, they did have a pretty weak-ended split. They lost a couple of games on the back, and they still came back, and they went through a 5-game series. That was quite difficult for them. Smashed out finals. They went towards EMS and had a good result there, too. It's almost guaranteed they'll bounce back. It's just in what form.
I think we saw MC in the interview as well, right? He said that the first game, it's always going to be a bit, you don't really know what's going to happen if you win or lose. I mean, obviously JDXL are going to be super happy about the victory, right? But about adapting it into that, and just, obviously, it's a marathon, not a race. So we can just say that.
It's a climb of the mountain. And for now, the Kings have lost the first game. And for the first time, the curse is broken. So I want to talk with someone that constantly, throughout the entire split, was telling me, we're going to win, we're going to win, we're going to win. It's obviously Torok for the interview. Are you there, Torok?
Hello, hello.
Hello, I cannot get rid of you. Every single time I have to talk with you, Torok. How are you doing? Obviously with a smile on your face, right?
I mean, I'm just so happy to be back, Akram. I couldn't resist coming to see you straight away in Summer Split. That's
Oi, back off, he's ours.
Torok, the curse is broken. You finally won versus X7. What does this mean to you?
Oh, I mean, it means a lot, right? In some respects, it's nice to have the curse broken, and then in other respects, it means very little at all because it's the first game of the split with a new roster, right? But, it's obviously nice for, I guess, everyone in the roster just to take a win over X7, show that, the stuff we've been doing in preseason is paying off for us, and I think in the manner we did it, it was really nice to do it in that way as well.
Okay, you got to tell me. You got to let me know. The team has shifted a little bit. There's a few changes in the team. How are you feeling with the new composition of XL?
It's great. I've got, we obviously made the bot lane change, right? We've got FGG and Venza in. The great guys. I'm really happy to have God Gary on my side now. So, we have the power of divine on JDXL now. And then beyond that, we've also got some changes to our coaching staff, bringing in Apples, who's doing a lot of positional work with the players. I'm sure he's going to be really, really valuable in terms of, pushing the team to another level than we already got last split. So I'm really happy with the changes so far, and I'm sure we'll keep getting better and better.
And it's the first day of the split, of Summer Split, so I want to do some overreactions or overstatements. Where do you believe JDXL will end this split?
Well, we're aiming for first, right? But I think the realistic thing is we'll see how it goes, right? So as much as you want overreactions, this is the first game of the split, X7 playing with their substitute. I think it'll be a lot more telling 2 to 3 weeks in how good of a team we are and how well we're developing.
To finish it off, for the first interview, Torok, because I know you will appear throughout the entire split. Tell me something. Is anybody finally putting a leash on you in terms of champion select, or do we still have the unleashed Torok? It's not Silas, it's Torok. And Shane.
No.
No, there's no leash.
That's how I like.
There you go. So that's why you didn't ban Nidalee, right?
Yeah, why would you ban MC's Nidalee? It's an overrated champ. It's terrible in this game, and we're going to win anyway if he picked it. So, I mean, he should maybe one trick a better champion. Actually, if you're going to one trick something, pick a better champion than Nidalee. Simple as that.
There you go. I wanted an overstatement. I got it. Torok, thank you so much for the interview. Best of luck for the day 2 of week 1, and I'll see you soon, mate.
Thank you.
Can I interest MC in one tricking Ari?
Oh, I was fishing. I reeled him in. Okay.
How did your hot take go? What was that about X7 being better than Spring? Spicier roster? Feeling good?
Well, being spicy doesn't mean being better, but I don't know. It's still the first day, okay? You gotta give it to me. It's still the first day. What about that statement, though, M-Test?
I was so disappointed at first because you mentioned you wanted an overstatement, right?
Right.
And he said, guys, it's the first week and everything can happen and it's gonna be a long split. And then he whips out MC, just learn another champion, play another champion. That's just what I want to hear. And I also want to say, just spam Torok in chat for that because he deserves it, man. Honestly, I was not disappointed. Thank you, Torok.
There's nothing that hurts more than someone telling you, one trick, a better champion. I'm just letting you know. Imagine if someone came to you, defeated your Ari, completely demolished it.
Oh, hang on, actually, anecdote about that. The largest Ari YouTuber in the world smashed me in lane once. That was one of my lowlights of my career.
I gotta
That was
ask
painful.
something. I gotta ask something.
So I'm
What
so
career,
sorry, MC.
though?
I know that was painful to hear.
Okay, so JDXL are happy, are comfortable. The bot
Absolutely,
lane
they
is
should be.
working well for them, but this is only day 1. Obviously, they need to adapt. They need to show us way more than they did today. But what about X7? I know we have him. It's going to be someone. Okay, there we go. They're ready for me. And I want to do this one because on the loser side, I have Kasing. And every single time I had an interview with you, Kasing, it was a happy one. We start off on the wrong foot on Summer Split, though. How are you feeling?
Well, I would love to be able to say, I feel great, but obviously it sucks to lose. But it was kind of expected. We haven't been playing or had much time to practice, just because obviously we've been using slow queue as a sub for the past week, I would say. So we actually haven't had a lot of time to scrim and actually play like other teams who have also been scrimming for like a month already. But yeah, all I can say is we're playing catch up, and even despite us only, today losing once, I believe we're showing signs of life in some cases, maybe quite a lot of depression in some other cases, but you know what? I believe we can do great things. Obviously, this is just the beginning.
Okay, now looking into your team, you picked the poke composition. You went really hard on the poke composition. Is this because the team still doesn't feel comfortable together and you guys wanted to play from front to back, poke as much as you can, and then engage when you felt comfortable? Or is this something like you prepared just for this game?
To be honest, I felt that this game was more about just comfort picks on understanding, what's good for us, even if the comp may not necessarily be the best in unison. But, I think we gave a good showing, despite how much time we've actually had to practice. And all I can say is it can only get better. JDXL obviously played better than us because I think they played more, together and cohesive, rather. So commending to them. And also, MNS on the Kali was pretty good.
He was. He's kind of good. He's a good player. Okay, Kasing, I have a question because you're playing with someone on your lane, Attila. I know Attila. You know Attila. You've played with him before. How are you feeling in terms of a duo on the bot lane? Because he can be a handful, if I may.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I really enjoyed playing with Attila. Oh, I still enjoy playing with Attila. Maybe not this last game. But, no, I'm kidding. I genuinely do feel like, right now we're still not even our main roster at the moment, with obviously Tent not being here yet. But I believe once he comes and we actually start getting together as 5, I think we'll have a much better time, if anything.
Okay, I did an overstatement to wrap it up, the interview, Kasing. I did an overstatement that I feel the team as it is right now with the players that you have seems more of a menace than it was in the previous split. Do you agree with me or do you disagree?
I mean, look, like I said, right, only time would tell. I cannot tell you, hey, this roster's better, this roster's worse. Like, it has to be, within a month maybe from now. I'll tell you, you know what? maybe that roster was better. Or maybe this one we're gonna pop off. But I do see the cohesiveness of everyone in the team once we all take over as 5 on what everyone brings and how we basically play the game. So just keep watching.
I'll keep watching, man. It's my job. But no, thank you so much for this interview. You know I love to talk with you, and it was a pleasure to watch you play and your team at Rio Masters. You did, as a guy, like an amazing job. So congratulations as well. I'll see you soon.
Thank you very much.
See ya.
Take care, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Did we miss a company memo or something about like, oh, we gotta wait like 3-4 weeks really to see how everything comes out? Where's the spies?
You know, when you subscribe to a product and you're like, okay, you have 10 days, and if you don't enjoy it, you can return. This is exactly what he told us. Like, we're still on trials, we're still trying out the team. We'll see how it goes.
One thing though that I did think he did right, and that's the only card that you can play in situations like this. When you have a sub, you just have to inject copium into your veins. Honestly, like that's what you have to do.
Hang on,
like,
we have NL copium here. We did a video about it and everything last split.
That's what I'm saying.
We need to bring back the universe, okay? The NL universe, we need to bring it back. Okay, last statement for this game. Who wants to take it? Because we need to move on.
Got anything spicy for us?
The last statement for this game.
Yeah.
An overstatement?
It could be an overstatement. I love those.
What are you feeling?
Okay, I'm gonna say MC. I'm gonna kind of have to agree with Torok. I'm not gonna be too harsh on. And Torok was flaming him. That was just straight up burst. But MC, you have to make sure if they don't ban Nidalee, you have to pick it and 1v9. If you don't, you cannot call yourself a Nida main. You cannot. It just works like that. If Nightmare, for example, if they would not ban Ahri, it's just his ego would just trip in. He has to pick it.
I'm trying to think what my win rate is this. Look, well, I'm not answering that.
I mean, I play with you with Ahri, and what's an overstatement?
I don't think anything can be overstated in that. But I think in this game, like I look at the Nidalee and I think like, again, it just came down to a composition thing. I think that you have to, I actually feel like because this is a poke composition, it is so hard to play actually into that comp. I don't think they gave themselves an easy job. I still think they did a decent job. They're a high level team. It's only one loss, gonna have patch changes, got a lot of games to go. Lukewarm is the take.
Yeah, best of one. It didn't click. It happens. Let's see how it moves on. And now let's see the standings. Obviously, there's not a lot to show, but JDXL are going to take off versus X7. The curse is broken.
Stop the count.
Astralis is in second place.
It's over.
Somewhere Goldberg is jumping in happiness, is filling on that room, but let's see what happens throughout the day. Are we ready to move on for the next game?
Let's do it.
I just have to say, MC, don't go into my Twitter DMs and hate me. I still love you. I think you're a great player. Maybe I went a bit over the top.
You're not allowed to flame and
job's
then
done.
step back.
Statement's been said.
You said it, you own it.
Let's go next.